was a mean and cruel narrative, right? Because if it happened to you, why do you want to perpetuate that? That, for me, that just doesn't make sense. Like, rather than trying to... Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like as parents, then they should themselves change. Like, if I'm getting married into a family that already has all these conveniences, why... It would be so bizarre to me that they want to see me suffering, right?
Just because I'm a mother.
Because am I also not now part of the family?
Hey guys, this is Anisu, aka Nyati Shonga. Hello, my name is Chido, aka Chizzy. Wagwan, Advocate Amanda here. Hi everyone, this is Kuda, aka Cooks. Hi, and welcome to As Told by Us, the podcast. This is a weekly podcast where 4 professional millennials discuss living in Zimbabwe and trying to figure life out. Someone once told us the grass is much greener on the other side. But from where we're standing, our grass is green. Subscribe, like, share, comment down below.
Okay, so as I get older, right, I think we are now in that like season where you are being, I don't know if groomed is the right word, prepared. Groomed sounds bad.
Groomed is the right word.
Groomed is the right word. But like, I think it's like there's an obsessiveness to make sure that we are quote unquote wife material, right? We are able to run and sustain households. But it doesn't mean like, can you pay for things? It means how badly can you suffer, right? And by that I mean like, can you cook every day? Do you have the stamina to make dinner every day? Do you have the stamina to clean every day? Do you have the stamina to do laundry twice a week? Do you have the stamina to, ensure that your house looks clean, your man is cooked for, taken care of, feet washed, hair clean, whatever it is that we're expected to do, right? And that, like, the older that we're getting, the more, the more we start being groomed when we were young, right? We started learning how to cook when we were young. We started learning how to clean when we were young. I don't know if you were, like in my household, Saturdays were a cleaning day. That was spring cleaning day. We all woke up. We all cleaned from morning until nighttime, right? Everything from window sills, everything from just your own room, the shoes, taking out all the shoes, cleaning it, even though it was already clean, right? So I grew up with helpers, right? And our helpers cleaned the whole house the whole week. So the house was clean on a Saturday. There was really no point in the exercise, except the fact that it was my mother grooming us, right? I grew up in a household with only girls. And so it really was just an exercise of cooking, cleaning, doing laundry. On holidays, there would be, so like your school holidays, I think like it's like 4 weeks, right? It would be half with the helper, half without. So 2 weeks with, 2 weeks without. And, without would be us doing the laundry. And also, like when I say it's like how much you can suffer, because even with the machine, we still had to hand wash, right? And like she made us hand wash so we can learn how to hand wash, right? And so now, as I am now in my 30s, right, I think, and I do still have a helper, right? I'm at least privileged enough to be able to afford one. And her what is it called? Her monies. Her monies I pay for her rent.
Oh, you pay for the
I pay my helper salary, right? So me, right? Because I'm paying someone to do this thing. There's no need for me to also do this thing. But I know how to do this thing if I'm needed to do this thing. All right. But I think for my mom, that's like, it's a bit scary because obviously I don't do it every day. So it's like, do you have the stamina to do it if you have to?
Does she though?
Who, my mom?
Yeah.
No. No. But like, I'm sure she'll tell you she did when she was like newly married and when she was younger, right? She will tell you she did. I don't know. I have question marks around whether she did or not. But she will tell you she did. So I think it's just that, like, that grooming. So it seems a bit like lazy to say, do it only on the weekend. And then if you are now that you're at the ripe age of marriage, can you and will you be able to do it when you are in your own household and it's the two of you? Can you sustain that? So I don't know. I just feel like there's just a bit of like, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it like a generational like pull and push, maybe, right? Because in my mind I'm also like, why? Because if I'm, and then you get into the, well, if I'm also contributing to the household, why must I do the 100% of the housework, right? Because I am going to work. Why am I doing it in the middle of the week? But also there is that if you are in a household together, surely the two of you decide how those things are going to work between the two of you. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like I don't understand like why it falls on me to make sure the household functions.
Because according to gender roles, you make the house. You are the homemaker.
Yeah,
so then, like from our parents' perspective, right? Which is why when we were being like, because I remember there was a time my aunt, because I can't kill a chicken, right? I will not do it. You can't what? I cannot kill a chicken. Okay. I will not. But there was a point where my aunt was trying to like, it was even this year. She was like, at my big age, 30 years old, she's telling, come, yeah, I'm going to teach you. You can't. Today is your day that you're going to learn how to kill a chicken because you can't be a wife who doesn't know how to kill a chicken.
Okay. Now, where is that skill going to happen? Like, where am I going to display your chicken killing skill?
I don't know. Maybe when I am shipped to my buyers.
You know what? I don't know, but like for me, that's a weird one.
Yeah, but legit, like it was this year where like my aunt was like, no, you have to learn today. Today is your day. You're going to learn. I could not do it. Like I had the knife to that thing's throat neck, but I just could not. Like.
So what did you do? You said no?
I was like, nah, I can't do this.
Man.
Oh, yes, and they wanted you to actually do it right then.
Yeah, but it was like now a forced thing to say like, all this while we've let you go for 30 years. Now today's your day that you must learn. If you didn't teach me when I didn't have my traumas and the like, then maybe. But like it's too late now.
Yeah, to me, I feel like it's a projection that I've just decided to reject because our lives are different. Yeah. We're in an era where, like Kuda was saying, we're economically functional, we're working. And if you've got money, you've got certain buying power. Like if money can buy me convenience in certain situations, why do I need to prove? Why do I need to satisfy you with my labor for what? For some kind of acceptance or whatever. And especially for me, what pisses me off is if it's over like a hypothetical person.
Yes.
That's even worse. It's a hypothetical situation. What if? What if we're vegetarians? What if, like, you know, I mean, there's so many. It hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And it's not my reality. So why do I need to do all these things? Like, I mean, I had a similar experience growing up. But I think for me, my perspective was always, you know, you need to know how to do certain things as a human being to survive.
For yourself.
But I felt like even growing up, my parents weren't really grooming me for marriage, in that more emphasis was put on things like school and homework or whatever. I would have chores in the house. Like, you know, you're gonna wash the dishes, but then I didn't have the burden of like having to cook for everybody every day, having to wash my own school uniforms and things like that. And the justification, whether explicitly or just by suggestion, was that you need more time to focus on school. And even now, as a person, it would be ridiculous. As someone who I'm a service provider, I literally sell my time. Why would I spend a lot of time, you know, doing laundry, mopping my floor, washing my clothes, cooking, you know, every single day? Like, I mean, to prove to who that I can do it, I know I can wash dishes, but like, I mean, if I'm able to make money in an hour versus spend an hour cleaning the floor, whereas a portion of that money that I can make in an hour can go to a service.
To somebody else who can
You know, and even let's talk about this hypothetical man, right? Say now he's there. Someone who just enjoys the idea of my labor for the sake of it. I don't know what we're doing, because now we're at a stage where, like, I don't need a husband to function in society.
Right.
I can own property now. I can have a job. I can earn money. I can literally make a living as a standalone person, which couldn't be said for a lot of women. It was your ticket to some form of independence, to say, you know, you're gonna go build a home, and you know you're gonna need to take care of your man who's going to be at work so that you guys can have food. It's labor that has a value. In a domestic setup, yeah, fine, wives are not really getting paid. But now we're even in a part where you'll be compensated. If you're divorcing, they'll say, no, you contributed to the household through that labor.
Yeah.
But right now, my household contribution is like, it's like, I mean, I can wash a dish, but there's so much more I can contribute to a household than my physical labor. And if, honestly, my mother-in-law or whoever wants to see it,
Hey there, lovely listeners. So listen, running a podcast in Zimbabwe is quite the journey. It requires resources. And when I say resources, I mean money, time, and effort. Wondering how you can support us? Well, we've got you covered with Inbox. Or World Remit if you're on the other side of the world and you'd love to contribute. Our Inbox number is 077-810-3171. Whether it's the cost of a cup of coffee or a virtual high five, every little bit of your support counts. Remember, supporting our podcast isn't about funding our caffeine addiction, though it is in part, but your support keeps our podcast alive and thriving and helps us create more content, ensuring that our laughter echoes through your devices. Thanks again for being part of our community and for listening.
And you know what?
Pay me my rate.
I'll give you my rate card and you tell me. But you know what, Amanda, you actually brought up a good point.
With my experience, my years of experience, pay me what's on the tariff most.
Oh God. You brought up a good point where it is that the focus for us really was on school and education.
yeah.
When it then flipped post-graduation back to
When will you marry?
back to traditional marriage, I don't know, like, you wanted me to get this education so I can be standalone, so I can be independent, so I don't have to depend on a man, right? Literally, if that was not the discourse, even just growing up, like, you need to be able to do school and, you know, make your own money, get your own job so you're not, like, dependent. And then it became, okay, now you have your degree. You know, it was always also like your husband, your degree is your first husband.
Oh my God.
You know, it will take care of you long term. That's your first gown. So now, when did my first gown like become nappy?
So your first gown?
Yeah, it's my first, like, instead of wedding gown, like my first gown is like, okay.
It's your degree thing.
So now I graduate, now I have this degree, now I have this job. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to go back to the gown that was supposed to be my second gown. Now I'm supposed to go to the husband. Now, you know, like, when did that change and switch? And like, nobody then said, okay, when growing up, okay, so here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get a job, you're gonna get your degree, but then remember, you're gonna have to go back. Right? And so all the skills that we're teaching you, like, it's cool, yeah, now do the school thing. That's nice. But like, remember, you're still supposed to be a wife. You're still supposed to be a homemaker. You're still supposed to be a caretaker. You're still supposed to, you know, do all of these things. So we're thinking that we're doing all these things for independence, so we don't have to do these things just for you to turn around and say,
Oh, by the way.
But you know, that's exactly how it is, because I'm thinking, number one, like, maybe our parents got married much younger than, for example, how you know,
absolutely.
well, probably like in our 30s, getting married and the like. They got married much younger.
20s.
In their 20s.
If not
teens. If not teens, right? So I think there's also a fear. I think our parents will also be looking at us like, oh, did we give them too much independence? Like, or did we encourage
The wrong thing.
Did we encourage it too much? Because now, she's 30. And there seems to be no one knocking at the door. We need to maybe redress. We need to quickly fix some things.
Yeah.
But is it not
We
too late?
gave you too much of a independent mindset. No. Come back a little bit. I don't know. I feel like that's maybe how it is.
But is it not too late to do that now? I feel like when you're in your 30s, you're you know yourself.
You've established yourself now. In your 20s, you're figuring yourself out. By the time you reach 30, you are...
No, I don't like doing the dishes. I don't like cooking, so I'm gonna pay someone to do those
Do
things.
it. Or like, find a utensil. Hello, air fryer. Like, find something to make it easier. And the fact that there are things that make things easier, right? I think, I don't understand why you can't be allowed to use them. If a washing machine is going to make laundry easier, why is it that my reliance on it is a problem? Why?
Because it's like, no, we've encouraged you for too long to be reliant on this thing. You need to come back. We need to bring it down to
grassroots level.
Yes. Because, and I always, almost, not always, but like, say for example, my grandma would say like, hey, what if your future husband is from Mutoko or somewhere?
He's not.
He might be.
But, I mean, even if he is, because she'll be like, for example, like, I haven't washed my own laundry by hand for a really long time because I just chuck things in the washing machine.
I'm just not going to do that.
To do what?
Hand wash.
But like, so I was giving the example of like my grandma saying like, my grandma was saying like, you're too used to doing things in the washing machine, right? That like, what if you get married to somebody who comes from where the kumusha is really kumusha and you really have to go kumusha and find yourself now washing laundry by hand. But again, like what Koda said, I know how to do it. Like
It's not that I can't, I just choose not to.
It's not that I can't, but I just like, I don't have the time. Like maybe I choose to sleep in on a Saturday and know that maybe I've put my laundry in the washing machine overnight because there's so I put my laundry in the washing machine overnight and sleep in and then wake up whenever I do and put it outside. But then it's already a problem.
Yeah, because what if he's a traditional man?
He's a traditional man and he needs you to be on your knees washing laundry in a bucket.
That's the worst what if.
But you know,
in my mind, because what do you mean?
For me, the problem is the what if part of it.
That's the problem.
Guys,
What are you talking
I've
about?
come through this world the point of what we're doing in this existence is adaptation. If you put me in the rural areas, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh my God, and then I won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
If my survival means I need to walk to go get water so that we can eat and whatever, then I'll do it because the situation has come up. But you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to change that situation in a very short space of time. Within some time, either there's going to be somebody who's doing washing or we're going to be digging a borehole or something. Because don't forget, I went to school and you've given me this thing called choice and, self-determination.
Right.
Why should I give it up? I'm not giving it up. I have choices now. I can choose to say I'm going to wake up at a certain time and knowing that I'm still going to eat at the end of the day. All my survival skills are down. Why am I giving up things unless I have to, right? And also, why are you wishing that for me?
Right? You're literally speaking it into it.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. What if he's and why? Why is he? Would then be also my next question. Why is he? Because also I know me, right? I know the things I like and things that I don't like. I know places I like to go and places I don't like to go. So as I am talking to a potential suitor, these are the things I also need to know, right? And I'm going to figure out how much of hand washing do you actually expect me to do, right? And you can know from jump whether or not this is going to work for me or not, right?
I beg to differ.
You don't think you'll know? You don't think you can ask
why I say these moms or aunts or whatever speak like this? I think it's more from like trauma. So like my mom, she grew up in Harare. She grew up in Harare. She was like, she met her boyfriend, she met her mans in Harare and all of these things. It's now when you then get married and then the people in that house expect you to do a lot of things that you're not used to, which I understand. I get you preparing me. I just don't understand why you need to berate me and belittle me every weekend about me waking up late. But I do understand saying... But I do understand saying, no, you need to know how to wash your own clothes, you need to know how to cook, you need to know how to start a fire, perhaps, all of these things. I get it. Because at the end of the day, marriage in Africa is not about me and my baby boo.
Yeah,
it's about my baby boo's family. And so you could find a very nice guy in Harare who you really like, but all of his family's in Mutoko. So when you go to Mutoko,
and when you get delivered, they're in Mutoko,
they're also going to be very hard on you because you're a Harare girl or you're a salad or whatever. They're also going to be like that. I think that's just my main contention. I get the generational gap and everything, but to what end? How many weekends must I be prepared for my hypothetical?
Honestly, because like as Kuda was saying, right? We have been prepared.
Yeah, we are ready.
I know. Long time. I remember, like, because Kuda, you were talking about having like a help, right? At some point, we were like at home. I think from the time I was like Form 3 or Form 4, it was like, no, there's gonna be no help. From then, I used to every Friday, I get home from school. No, not every Friday, every Saturday. I wake up, I wash my laundry. And that time it was like hand wash. So I know how to hand wash a blazer. I know how to hand wash jeans.
Yeah.
So from the time I was 16, bro, I've been doing this.
But you see, remember what I said? I said, is it the stamina? Can you do it every day? Because if you're only doing it on Saturdays and Sundays, are you able now to do it every day? If you have to cook and clean every day, after work, mind you.
But that was also my question. Is she doing it every day? Because I feel like there's lots of you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. But then you, at my age, you had help.
Yeah.
At my age, you had, for my mom, her sister came to live with us for a bit, and she was doing childcare.
Right.
So you didn't even do the childcare part. Like, your job was to bring in the bacon, which is literally all of our moms. I feel like all of our moms have worked.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you really trying to set me up for? I'm so lost. And even the housewives of Harare, they themselves don't do this like every day.
Maybe it's like maybe it's like a hindsight is 2020 kind of thing. Like, I wish I had. I don't know. It's a weird. I'm trying to justify it, but I can't even justify it.
I think African families have this thing about glorifying suffering. Like, if you haven't gone through a certain thing, even if that thing doesn't make sense, even in this time that we're living, it's a performative thing. Because these hypotheticals, they don't make sense. What if, like you don't know your own child, where would they meet a guy from Toko? Like, how is that even making sense to you as a parent? Like, what's your relationship? So I feel like sometimes African parents and elders, they just don't want to meet you where you're at and where the times are at. They want to enforce this role which they feel they need to play, that you have to go through this rite of passage, even if it doesn't make sense in this time, just to have these skills for this hypothetical situation. Because maybe at that time it was like a survival thing.
Yeah.
But like right now, there's washing machines, and also even, this is me talking as a nigga, right? Yes, I would want a wife who can cook and clean and etc. That's just, it is what it is. But it's not like I can't cook and clean myself. What if she's at work, if she works late and stuff like that? There is also a generation of progressive dudes who would actually also pitch in. It doesn't have to be this Muntoko guy.
Shame, guys. If you're from Toko, sorry. It's just an example. It's an example. But you know what?
Yeah.
To be fair, right? In defense, right? Like Anesi said, I do think it's very trauma-based also. Because as the discourse goes, your in-laws are your biggest ops, right? And like, your mom could be like happy with you washing the washing machine. She might really genuinely be like, listen, as long as the laundry's done, right? And then you go and you do meet a guy and he's happy for you to use the washing machine, so long as the laundry's done, right? But then the discourse at the in-laws will be like, Murora, from the north end, only uses the washing machine, right? And maybe because of that, like, your mom doesn't want you to go and be embarrassed or to feel outcasted or to feel like abused by, let's say, your in-laws because of what, it then also reflects on her, right? Like, as the mom, she let you get away with using the washing machine instead of hand washing. And now you go to these people's houses and your husband is fine, but like his mom expects you or wants you to be doing labor and hand wash. Even if she has a washing machine, you can't use it. Even if she has a dishwasher, use your hands, right? So maybe it is that, like, there's also that, like, fear that, like, I don't want my daughter to be abused when she goes to the other side, because hypothetically we don't know. Yeah, because we don't know what her in-laws are going to be like. So this is a what if your in-laws are just really terrible people.
Maybe this is also like to all the parents out there, because like if you're a parent, you're either going to end up being, someone, you're going to end up being someone's in-law somehow, somewhere, somehow, right? Maybe can you just change the whole in-laws are mean and cruel narrative, right? Because if it happened to you, why do you want to perpetuate that? That, for me, that just doesn't make sense. Like, rather than trying to, I just feel like as parents, then they should themselves change. Like, if I'm getting married into a family that already has all these conveniences. Why it would be so bizarre to me that they want to see me suffering, right?
Just because I'm a mother.
Because am I also not now part of the family? Am I also not like a daughter to you?
I'm a child of God, guys, please.
So surely can I not use the washing machine?
No.
I think also these family dynamics, the goalposts change depending on net worth. Like if you're affluent, there's certain people where some of these rules they don't apply.
Right.
I've seen it happen where it's like either super affluent or if like they're marrying into like someone who's not even African, who's like white.
Yeah.
You see, it's a completely different narrative.
Their expectations change.
The expectations change, so they pick and choose.
No, you're right. Like if you were, if let's say, but that's tricky. So imagine, right? So think about this, right? You are marrying into a household that has 3 brothers, right? You, Zimbabwean Han, marry the middle brother. The oldest brother married a white lady, right? 100% they're not expecting her to hand wash anything. But now when I come, who has set the tone? Do I do what the whitey is doing and put it in the washing machine, or am I expected to hand wash because?
No double standards.
But I get, that's what it is, right? Because now you are judged differently because you're not from the same place. So of course we can't expect her to do it because we know she shouldn't even be able to do it. But you. But now, say the 3rd brother marries also a Zimbabwean girl, but from a really rich family. So me, we stuck here in the middle here. Am I the only one who's supposed to hand wash?
And you'll see at family functions, they'll remind you that. Yeah, they'll make sure you will be like running around and doing everything.
No, that's crazy. But I don't know, like, I think it just is that, like, pressure that comes with the older that you get, you graduated, you're not working, there is that expectation that now, obviously, you are going to get married, now you're going to have your own household, right? So there is a bit of, like, grooming, yes, and maybe just more intensely. Just because now it's like almost like a crash course. Let's just make sure before you go because we don't have a lot of time. Well, they're hoping they don't have a lot of time because you might end up being 36. But, they're expecting that by the time you're like 30, 31, you're gone. Right? So between like 26 and 30, it becomes this really intense military training. And like just that like added pressure. But then maybe there are like other pressure points, right? So now say you're past 30. Maybe you're married, maybe you're not. I don't know. This will be a what if scenario, right? Living obviously in this country, in this economy, right? I know my parents bought the house that we live in when they were 30. I think my dad was 30. And like my mom was like 28. I don't know, my mom's 3 years younger, 27. Right? So now I'm at the age my dad was. I don't own a house.
Kiki.
I don't. So do you feel like, okay, now post 30, obviously generationally fine, maybe we can argue that like the economy is different, so we can't even begin to compare ourselves to where our parents were. But then with our peers in, say, close to home, SA, further from home, I don't know if you guys have homies or friends in the States, I do, or in the UK, I do. And they do own properties and they do own homes and they do, even if it's not a home, at the very least is an apartment of some kind, but they own it, or at least they're paying a mortgage for it, right? They've changed cars 100 times at this point, right? And it's not like small cars either, but like, brand names, right? They've managed to travel to all sorts of places that we still put on our vision boards. Right.
What about traveling to Vic Falls, alright? In the country. Let alone Bali. Bali is something else. Too far.
You know what? To be fair, you know how the economy works in this country? It might be cheaper to go to Bali than to Vic Falls. The way that I have economy works, it might actually, because I know for a fact it's cheaper to go to Joburg than to go to Vic Falls. Flight-wise itself, and then you start thinking of just living and how much you're going to spend.
Yeah.
You'd rather go to Joburg.
An Airbnb in Joburg is much cheaper than
Vic Falls. You'd rather. But you see, with the way the economy works.
Are you guys under pressure? Are you feeling pressure, and where does it really come from?
Am I feeling pressure?
To be honest, I think I've given myself
To the Lord.
outside of giving myself to the Lord, I think I have reached a point where I'm giving myself grace. Because there was a time, I think, maybe last year, even into this year, beginning of this year, where I just felt like, yo, Chido, you need to change your situation, like, now. And I also realized that, that pressure I was giving myself wasn't so great, because then you don't see maybe opportunities that are in front of you because you're thinking, oh, maybe I need to leave for me to be able to kind of live the life that I want. So I've decided I need to give myself grace because Sim is not easy. And it's okay that I haven't been to Bali yet, or I haven't purchased an apartment or whatever, that I'm still living at home. It's cool, But I think I will, at some point, I need a cut-off time to say,
I was about to ask you.
After a certain age.
What is that age? Is there an age yet?
How old am I? 30. To be honest, I think at the end of 32, I need to be serious.
Wait, you need to be serious to start.
Okay,
you need to start.
Not that I'm not serious. No, not that I'm not serious. No?
Serious about what?
No, that's why I'm correcting myself to say not that I'm not serious, but after 32.
Yeah.
Hey.
By
the end of 32 or at 33. By 33, something needs to be different about, in the sense that if I'm still living at home, at 33, I just need to be I'm going to live on my own, right? Something that I have control over. I can't say by 33 I'm getting married. I don't have control over that. But something that I do have control over is if it means I need to leave the house and find my own place or whatever, then by that time, end of 32, I need to be able to January 2020, I don't know. I need to be able to be I'm out of here. Things that I can control, obviously. Because there's no way I can say, by 33, I need to have a house of my own. Where am I getting the money from?
I want a house.
Yeah.
I also want a house.
I want a house.
So badly.
I'm ready.
Okay, but I'm gonna be a bit controversial. Right. I do think that there is a moment in time where we can complain about the economy so many times. It's not gonna change, we know that. Right. So at what sure there must be a cut-off where you say, either I'm sticking it out, let's say I'm sticking it out in Zim, or I'm taking a jump and just jumping the board at no visa, I'll figure it out then.
Oh.
Right. Or you say, okay, this is in my control. If it means I'm not going to, if I want a house, if it means that I'm not eating lunch for the next 2 years, and I'm going to put aside whatever the $5 I was eating for lunch, right? Just not eating it. Because there needs to be a point where you say, the economy can't keep being my excuse. Because the economy is the excuse when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60. The economy is not changing.
Lunch is not the reason why you don't have a property.
And it's not going to amount to anything.
By the time you get to 1 year, don't forget that the zig will become the sole currency, and that little lunch money is going to become nothing.
50 cents.
For me, I'm really resistant to this timeline pressure, because everything in reality shows me that it's not the age, it's not the time. A lot of it is an internal thing and a perspective thing. Mm-hmm. And the more the more I get to points where I feel okay about certain things and let go of pressure, things flow. Mm-hmm. There's times where you're like, you really want something and you're thingy, and then you realize that maybe you're going after the wrong thing, or you're being redirected in some way, and things just kind of work out on their own. And the only difference is that you were stressed about it all along when it was coming at its right time. So, the more I focus on changing my mentality towards certain things, I think the less pressure that I feel. And the pressure that I feel now the most, honestly, it's like it's a belief that you get what you put out there. So now it's like pressure to say, okay, so whatever you decide is going to be your destiny, is going to be your destiny.
Yeah.
And the pressure is to not am I underselling myself? Am I dreaming too small? Because I won't lie, I want to own property. And I look around and think, I'm not dull, what's the difference between, for real, even the tiniest things where you're like, you tell yourself, zim, like, what could I say? The economy can only be the economy for so long. But look around you. There's people younger than you in the same situation, maybe even coming from worse situations, that are doing this. They're achieving the things that you've told yourself, or you've prevented yourself from even believing that you can achieve.
Yeah.
And it's just realizing that it's your own beliefs that are actually limiting you. As cheesy as it sounds, it's actually the truth. And the more you get into that and take responsibility, then it's like, okay, so why can't I own a property at 33? How are others doing it, right? And then you look around, there are people actually getting mortgages and things like that. Things that you've told yourself that are not for you. And that's why you're not getting it. Because you don't know where people are getting financing for houses. So, guys, on one hand, pressure is bad. I think it's bad when it's like what Chido was saying, when it's things that you can't actually control. But then at some point, you actually do need to put yourself under some pressure so that you actually act.
So that you actually, because what do they say, right? Pressure makes diamonds, right? I think that it needs to be a controlled pressure.
Yeah.
So it can't just be because my ex
boyfriend.
What? I was gonna say, like, what is it? Student? What are they called? People you learn with?
Classmate.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was about to say, like, it can't be the kind of pressure where it's like, on IG, ningi, and a classmate is taking trips to these places or whatever. Like, that's a pressure that, like, extricate yourself from that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think the good kind of pressure is where you say, like, look, I don't want to stay in my comfort zone, right? At some point, I need to push myself and see how far I can go. And that's a kind of controlled pressure where you you know yourself and you know, okay, why am I putting limitations on myself, right? Let me also put myself out there, see what I can achieve.
Do you not think also, sorry, Anessa, just, but like, when Chido said comfort zone, right? I was just thinking Zimbabwe is a very different beast, right, from functional economies. There is an entirely different economy that functions in this country, right? And you have a very formal economy and then you have a very informal economy, right? The informal one is also filled with kungoriska, that has like, it just takes you just, that's what I'm saying, it takes you really risking your life, risking jail time, risking, like, you don't know, you know, but like maybe there is also just that like, you maybe didn't grow up with like a hustling spirit, or maybe you just don't have one, right? Or
it's not for everyone. Not
or
everyone
you don't know, you don't feel comfortable in risk. Because you know, sometimes you get a deal that you know, this might land me in jail if somebody finds out. But if nobody does, this might pay off really well, right? And it's really up to you whether or not you choose to take that risk or not. And like maybe staying in your comfort and not wanting to go to jail might be a limiting thing.
Yeah, but
right?
jail in Zimbabwe, you know,
jail is hard, but what I'm saying is, listen, I'm not saying go steal, right? But I'm just saying there are certain informal things, right, that give people money. Let's say the Zig thing, right? The money changing thing. If you are a person who gets paid in Zig, and maybe you have access to quite a bit of it.
We are not encouraging anything.
I'm not encouraging illegal, but you also know that like if I do the money changing thing as a business, I could go to jail, right? But it could be very profitable if I do it. But you choose not to do it because you are afraid of going to jail, is what I'm saying. Like there's sometimes where you might have to just do something and whatever happens, happens.
I don't believe in that.
But I feel like everyone is different in terms of risk aversion. So if you're someone who doesn't like risk, you'll make a plan to make that money in other ways. So you will invest that money in other things that you know will come back tenfold or 15-fold. Because the problem with that is that God will make an example of you.
Exactly.
Sometimes because you know how you are, you'll get caught easily.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe in that.
It's like me seeing Chido doing something illegal. I'll be like, why, babe? You can't lie. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make sense.
Like, I'll be caught straight away.
It doesn't make sense.
I think for me, right, it's less of the risk of, doing something that could wind you up in jail or in trouble or whatever. But it's the bravery or even the audacity to say that I'm changing my situation and I'm going for this thing that I desire. And I think it's beyond the Zimbabwean thing. It's just the human experience. Like there's so many things, whether it's like your fitness, your health, there's a lot of things where you feel like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do to get my desired body or to get my desired aesthetic even. But that thing in you that says, today I'm going to stand up and be this kind of person, that's the thing that's not so easy. And I think that's the thing that holds us back. Because, it's the difference between staying in a job or in a situation that you hate and you know that you hate, and having just that presence, that little push that says, today I'm leaving this situation, I'm leaving this job. Funny enough, I was having a conversation with a friend, and I kind of called them out, and not just 6 of I did that. But it was a similar situation where we've been having the same conversation about them leaving a certain job. And I said to them, yeah, and they said something like, yeah, no, I'm working on XYZ. I'm like, yeah, that's what you said last time. And, I didn't even mean it in like a bad way, but in a meaning of like, them realizing that we've been in the cycle before. And from what I've seen it's like, I always call it having a sense of urgency where, you feel like I can do it tomorrow, I can do it, I'll change, new year. And then you don't do it. And then now the pressure comes from then seeing situations where you're like, yeah, I could have.
But I think that's also the thing when you're just talking about pressure. I feel like there's pressure from outside, and then there's a pressure that you now need to build inside. So I think the inside one is the one that's the problem, because sometimes you just, okay, guys, people are going to Bali, guys, people are doing this, and the other. But you're more of like a spectator in other people's lives. You're not really like thinking, okay, so what can I do to change my situation? Which isn't so easy. I don't think, even I'm sometimes in those slumps where I'm like, okay, I know this is bad for me. I know this is going nowhere. But just having that internal pressure to actually be like, okay, today we've said it for 365 days. What are we doing on the first day to change this? And I think it's something that you also just need to like hone in and learn to do. And it's not going to be a friend's advice or your mom's advice or someone's. You can be talking to like 10 people and they're all telling you the same thing. We've been over this. What are you going to do? So I think it definitely needs to come from within. And it needs, like what you were asking, where is the pressure coming from? It needs to come from within rather than, my mother's saying this, my father's saying this, my friends are doing this. Like, what do I want? And how am I going to... Also, the steps just to get to a certain place, I feel like people struggle with that as well. To just like cut down whatever you're trying to achieve to say, okay, I want to be like this next month. What am I doing in the next 2 hours? What am I doing in the next week? etc. That's also quite difficult. I feel like people do get in a slump with that one.
Go ahead.
You've just made me think about something that I've been like. I think we've had this conversation.
Is that one?
Is that one? I think we've all had that conversation about. I don't know, like about just removing yourself from a certain situation, right? So whether it's like a relationship or a job or anything like that,
or a country,
So to your point, I think to Anis's point, I think there's an aspect of fear that is so crippling, right? And I think I've acknowledged that there is a fear aspect that holds me back, because sometimes like I have that internal pressure where it's like there are times when I'm like, okay, yes, I'm doing this, I'm taking. But then when it comes to actually taking that step, it feels like it's a leap into a dark abyss that, I have no idea whether I'm going to land or I'm going to crash and burn.
But even if you do crash and burn, well, you won't burn.
You just crash.
You crash.
And you hurt yourself bad.
Oops, guys.
You might burn a little bit. To be honest, I can only hear... For me, there's two things, right? One thing that has sort of transformed my thinking is this concept of atomic habits, or like, building things up, whichever way you look at it. And there's the 75 hard challenge that I think we've spoken about. I've tried Guys, I didn't tell you. I failed. I failed in 40 days.
Last week.
Yes.
So wait. Did you start again?
I started again. I'm now on day 4. But what I've seen, even in terms of reading and the thought process behind it, it's about learning to trust yourself. Because if you say, I'm going to exercise twice every single day, and you see yourself doing that on the 10th day, it builds this inner confidence. And for me, I'm starting to understand that that's the point. It's this confidence to say that, okay, if I build that trust within myself, there's nothing that I can't do because I've been doing it every single day. And then you build up that atomic habit. And number 2 is the phenomena that fortune really favors the brave. And it's hilarious because every single one of you, now I'm calling you out, you 3. No, I'm serious. Every single one of you told me this. When I was there, like, I want to leave my job. I promise you, I will look for the receipts. Every single one of you. Yeah, no, fortune favors the brave. Yeah, leave high risk, high reward. That was rich, Yeah, do it, take the risk. You know what I mean? No, I promise. And you will all say it, and it's hilarious because it's true. And it's so difficult to do until you've done it because I won't lie, I don't know if it's fate or just, the world or God or faith, all of those things together just prove to you that on the other side,
it's greener.
It's greener. I won't even lie. You will burn. But you will. But there's something nice about it to say that I'm there on the other side. Because you'll burn, but you'll heal. And you'll grow and you'll experience something that's different. Chido is not.
It's more like the purification of gold.
Exactly.
But I think, did people hear that?
I think so.
Yes.
I actually, I'm going to say 2 things before we move on. But I think there is that, fear also of, not fear, I don't think it's there is a fear of disappointment. There's the trauma of I've tried and it didn't work. Right? And there's just that, there are times where you really, and I mean, I think even when you were young or whatever, there are moments where even if you say new year, new me, whatever, and then you start with a bang and, you try to set I know I'm going to have a meeting with myself at 8 p.m. every day and ask myself, what did I do today? And tick off a to-do list. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, do goal setting, do all of this and do all of that. And, you do it for a month, you do it for 2 months, and you're like, mate, things is not working, right? I think there's that, and then there's, let's say if you are a creative or something and you put something out there and then it's not received the way you wanted it to be received, it's not seen the way you wanted it to be seen, even if you're in a formal market, maybe you ask for a promotion and then you get denied or, something. So you put yourself out there and then you get rejected and then that coming back again, right? I think there's a failure where there are things that you can say, I can pick myself up from this and I can start again. And then there's certain things that bruise your ego to the point where there is no starting again. I don't want, that fear of I can't put myself out there anymore because now I have that trauma of rejection. I have that fear of what if it doesn't work again? I started this business, it failed. I started another one, it failed. I can't do a third one anymore. I can't be that girl who's consistently starting new businesses, doing new things because my ego has been bruised so much. And this is social media. Everybody now sees me selling. First I was selling hair. Now I'm selling makeup. Now tomorrow I'm selling clothes. People are going to just be like, how this girl, get it together. What is it that you want? Right? And I keep putting myself out there. I keep marketing something and then it fails. And I do something else and then it fails. And I do think there is that trauma, but I think you need to heal and start again and be able to start again. But can I actually tell you what my problem is? And it's actually a weird one. I actually have the opposite fear. I have a fear of it actually working out. I have a fear of it working out the way that I see it in my head. I'm going to be way too big for my boots and I know me. right? And now, because I'm Zimbabwean, all of you are going to start thinking I have snakes in my house. And I'm doing some weird things. But like, the fear of it actually working out and the fear of succeeding, like it's, you know, it's easier. It's an easier conversation when you're failing. It's easier to be like, I tried this thing and didn't work out, and like laugh at myself. But mates, if it actually happens, I don't think I will know what to do. I like genuinely, if I do own the properties, I might just like, I might lose it. Like I might actually not know what to do with myself. Just because I knew how badly I wanted it, and then to hold it. And I think like I will tell you how badly I wanted my degree. I wanted it so badly. There was a point if you asked me when I was 11 what I wanted to do, I'll tell you I wanted to be a lawyer. When I became one, I was like, whoa. And despite what and I'll tell you, like, I suffered through it. I actually did suffer through it. But like, when I remember my first legal, like when I went into a law firm, I really was like, I can't believe it.
I'm here.
Like, you know, when you, I genuinely sat on my desk and I was like, you're actually a lawyer. And then, like, when I got registered, I couldn't believe that, like, it was me. The whole time, I kept being like, people, you guys trust me. You want me to write the opinion. You want me to draft these papers. You want me, like, even now when people call me and say, hey, can you do a trust? I'm like, me. Do you know me?
You see me on the
Are you crazy? Why would you think I am capable of doing that? And then I have to remind myself, girl, this is your job. People actually pay you for this, right? And I just think, like, my fear, because I don't know what life will be. Like, will you guys still be here? Like, if I make it? I don't know. So I'm saying you guys are not gonna make it, okay? But I'm just saying.
Wait, are you saying that if you make it, then you won't be our friend?
No, but what I'm saying is...
That's what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, I don't know.
So is this what
Yes, you guys are my biggest hopes. I'm joking. But I'm just saying, like, you know, like, I'm comfortable here, right? But so I'm now thinking, how am I, because I'm living in the what if. I don't know what will happen if I do. Like, I love my friends. I don't have time to make new friends. I don't want to make new friends. Will you guys still love me? I love my family. Will they still love me? Like, they just said, I don't know.
So we're talking about Mutoko guy, this hypothetical. Don't reside in that what if.
Yeah, okay, my friends always my friends, guys.
Yeah, you know,
okay, that's just the point.
I can relate to that fear, but for me, at the same time, that's actually the answer, because you don't know. You don't, and you can't, and you won't. And I think it's that the most crippling thing, like you're saying, is when you imagine the outcome, but you know, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. So that's why they always say, you know, fall in love with the journey. And once you focus on the journey and fall in love with the journey, you know, everything else is just a pleasant surprise. But then if you put too much of your emotions on an imagined outcome, that is actually the most crippling thing that you can do, because it'll stop you right in your tracks.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, just speaking from a creative standpoint, right? I was having a conversation with someone about vanity metrics, like how exactly do you equate success? Like, what is your definition of success? You know, because right now we're getting into the season of like Spotify Wrapped, right? And for artists, it's a very like how many people are streaming my album, etc. type thing. But it's like,
we'll also be there this year.
yeah, you know,
How many people are streaming the podcast?
You know?
Okay, but last year we got a few number ones. I was actually really happy.
You see?
Please keep streaming it.
Please do stream. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, even right now with awards, I didn't get nominated for any Zimmer Pop Award, right?
Seriously?
I remember on the day, I was a bit confused, because I was like, but I worked hard. I don't understand, you know. And
but also, do you want to continue to get that one?
You see, it came to a point where I was like, ultimately, also this thing is a panel of people who will just decide whatever they decide, and there's a lot of like politics with that, right? But then one of the artists I work with, like closely, he's nominated, right? And we're releasing his album tomorrow, right? And we're like, yo, let's put all our resources into pushing him and making sure he wins, you know? Because I'm actually like on the privileged side, I won twice,
Right.
you know? And it's like, okay, I know what it feels like to have an award. And a lot of younger artists, they put these things on such a high pedestal that, like, I'm like, it's not exactly what you think it is. You know, I think it's like a sudden life-changing type thing, you know? And that's why I was like, some of these things are like vanity metrics. And in life, we have these metrics where it's like, sometimes it looks like, it looks like to other people, you want other people to see that you're in Bali or you're traveling. You know? You want to get those comments, those likes, those like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's just a vanity thing. But if you have metrics that are like internal and you're going like, okay, this is what makes me happy. Because to me, like, even they gave me Best Underground, but I've never really felt like an underground artist. You know, to me, I feel like I'm a successful artist, right? Because one, I put out music, I have fans, I make money from what I do, I perform. These are my metrics.
You do festivals, baby.
Festivals, you know? And I'm just expanding off of that. But it took me a long time to get to the point where I could be actually going like, okay, I'm doing my own thing. Whatever Holy 10, whatever Volts is doing, that's their own motion, you know? And if I just keep on working and doing what I'm going to do, it's going to expand.
Yeah, but you don't live in a silo, guys. Like, as good as that sounds, like, it sounds great, it sounds wonderful, but you don't live in an island of just, let me just make myself happy and be zen and be by myself. And like, you know what I mean? Like, you live in where there are other artists, okay? Like, and there is perhaps whatever in a globally accepted definition of success, right? There is just
they didn't give Beyonce the Grammy.
Exactly.
But can we say she's not
doesn't mean anything.
No. So I don't know. I think you're right. I do think that there is a time where you can say like, I'm internally happy with myself, and you don't want to look at what your peers are doing, and you know you define success on your own. But I think it's easier said than done, because like I'm saying, you don't live in a silo, you don't live on an island. Okay, making yourself happy is one thing, but like you don't live by yourself, so you are going to see what other people are doing, and maybe when the pressure does get too much, and then you can unfollow them, but now you might end up unfollowing everybody. And then what do you do?
Right. I think that's the pressure that Amanda was talking about, where it's like, now that you have a different relationship with looking at your peers, you know, it's not like you're not going to go like, I feel like crap because they're doing what I feel like they're doing. You figure out for yourself, like, okay, I want to do this. How do I show up and do it on my own terms, you know?
To be honest, I love to see it. I want to see people thriving, because you know, you have to get to a point where you're like, you know, if I want it, I can get it. If I want it, I can get it, and I will get it. And, you know, then if you see people doing that and achieving it in the way that you're thinking about it, to me, it fuels me, because I'm like, yes,
proof of concept.
Those are the people that I follow, because I'm like, man, you figured something out and I'm learning from you, I'm taking it. But then the moment you start to see someone's success as inaccessible to you, that's when it feels like crap. And yeah, no, we let's not play there, because they there was a time I didn't like Instagram. How did that change? I think I took some time off, and then I came back, and things are nice again.
Yeah, and also, I think just on that point as we're closing, it's like your social media, like, curate your timeline to support your highest ideals, not your worst fears. You know, it's like it will be constant stream of like, this is what I'm trying to do. Like I curated my IG just shows me reels of like how to push my music.
My bad.
No bad. How to push my music, how to monetize, how to stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So if you have that, because social media will drain you. If you're just saying this person is flying, it should be motivational.
Vanity matrix.
Okay, so our very last dilemma of the year.
Oh,
Very quickly. This is the last one of the year. And as we were going through the 16 days of, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Right. And we had a little bit of a thing, like, is it gender-based violence against men and women or just against women and girls? But it really was against women and girls. Like men-ish. But
Gender-based violence implies that it can be across the board.
Yes.
But I think
this 16 days was specifically for women and girls.
For gender-based violence.
However, we did get a dilemma from a man.
All right.
And he did express that he did suffer some JBV.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So he says, I was once in a room with a girl flirting with each other and getting along. The vibes were good, but I didn't want to sleep with her. As things started to get more physical, I told her I didn't want to go any further than making out. And then the vibe changed. She got upset and she told me that we must have sex.
Huh?
I told her no. And she went and she locked the door. All right. When I tried leaving, she slapped me and hit me. I realized she wasn't going to let me leave willingly, so I left out the window.
I'm glad you left.
She is married now. I wonder if she hits her husband. That's the whole dilemma.
Oh. I want to know how old
I don't know
this man was, because like
I don't know.
I've had a similar situation where I've been in a room and the girl she locked the door as well. And she was like, if we are not smashing, you're not leaving this room. And it was for me it was very weird, because the thing is, at that time she was dating one of my friends. And now I'm locked in here and stuff. So the way I got out of it was just by being loud, because it was sort of like a house party type situation. People started knocking and what. And I'm like, so I played it off, like I didn't want to make it like weird, but I was like, what is going on? But yeah, I think sometimes when men say no to sex, sometimes like we get like this very over aggressive like feedback, like what's wrong with you, or what, are you gay or something? I'm not attractive. Like
it's a bit of a knock to the ego, hey.
Because what?
I want to ask, like, is it maybe I'm asking the ladies. Is it like a thing where it's like maybe I'm not justifying anything that's like gender-based violence or anything, but like is it maybe that these girls are like trying to be the ones to make the first move? Because I feel like okay, so I've already answered.
Making the first move would imply you flirting with the guy, you offering to have something with him, and then he then saying yes. But now you've locked the door. You've gone and locked the door, and now you're slapping him to sleep with you. That's, I don't think, guys.
It's not even enjoyable. I had to use you into this.
Maybe she's been reading a lot of dominatrix.
No, but do you not have a discussion beforehand?
Yeah.
Do you like it rough or whatever? Like, I feel like we can't excuse, despite you being a woman, that's abuse.
That's bad behavior.
That's abuse, guys. And what I notice with women is that they say, no one says no to me. It even happens in like other situations where you're like, no one says no to me. This guy would never say no to me. But he has a right to say, I don't want to. I don't. I'm not feeling it today or whatever. Or I just don't want. And you must take it. The same way you expect men to respect your no.
Yeah. It's the same way,
And I think with certain hands, what happens is like, when you say no, they feel like it's a challenge. Like now it's applying more pressure.
That's what I was asking.
The same with men, though.
Yeah.
That's also the same with men. But I feel like the common denominator is an abuser here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Entitlement.
It's like I'm a 10, bro. Why
yeah,
did
how can you say no?
Like slapping you back into your senses. Look at me.
Yo, hi.
Yeah, no, I think that obviously that was obviously bad behavior on her part, obviously.
And I'm sorry.
And we're sorry.
Yeah.
We are sorry that you experienced that. I just think gender-based violence is not good in any direction. Abuse is not good in any direction. There is no justification because you're a woman. There is no you must, and it doesn't diminish your trauma because you're a man. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
If it happened to you, it doesn't make you less of a man. And like I'm saying, there's no excuse just because you're a hun. You know, a man leaving out of your window is not a key moment.
Yeah,
it's not.
actually.
It's not a go tell your homies like, oh, you know what this man did. No, it's not. It's bad behavior. And I think as we finish the 16 days of activism against violence against women and girls, we've talked very extensively also about men's mental health and how important that is also. And there needs to be an awareness on both ends, right? And I just think an introspection of your own behavior as a person towards other people, whether it is male to male, male to female, female to female, female to male, and everything in between. There needs to be just an introspection. May we enter into 2025 with people that are accountable for their own actions and just more respectful and kinder and nicer and, you know, just gentler. Jesus. You know, life is already hard enough. I don't need you making it harder for me. So, yeah, those are our last words for this episode.
It's bad.